Maybe I
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Effective Resume Thursdays. We're very, very glad you're with us. It's January 21st, 2021. You'll have 21s there. All right. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and on the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, and if you post a comment in the chat box or have your microphone or camera on, you give consent for your comment, name, and picture to appear. For those people on Zoom, we ask that if you're using a PC or Mac, we ask that you use the speaker view, which is in the lower left-hand corner where you see that red arrow. You can grab the little white line right there, and you can drag that back and forth to make the slide bigger, to make the slide and the presenter bigger or smaller, whatever ratio would be most convenient for you. If you have questions on Zoom, we ask that you enter your questions into the chat box. We are monitoring the feed. And for those people watching on Facebook right now, please just enter your questions into the comment field. I am monitoring that, and we'll be sure to get those questions answered also. I think we've already got our 2 resumes, so I'll move on. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. In 2008, I started Career DFW to help people in their job search in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. In 2012, after being invited to go to the White House, I decided to launch CareerUSA.org to help people outside the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I've written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know, available on Amazon for 15 bucks a piece, or if you want to drive by my house, if you throw 10 bucks out the window, I will attempt to throw a book in your window as long as you drive really slowly. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group, and I'll tell you about our upcoming program tomorrow at the end of this session. And since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team. And we'll talk a little bit more about that coming up here in just a second. So we've got 2 speakers that are with us today. Carol Brickell, who's with us every Thursday, and she's invited Susan Shapiro to be with us. So ladies, thank you for being with us, and I'll let you all take it from here.
Okay, thank you to Jeff, and welcome to everyone who has joined. We had quite a few people join a few minutes early. Thank you for waiting, and glad to have everyone here. And we've designed this session to be informative and fun. I'm really pleased that Susan is here joining me today. It's always great to get multiple perspectives. And when you send out your resume to 5 different people, you'll probably get 6 or 7 different opinions. And we'll be sharing our ideas based on our experience and our perspectives. And your job as a job seeker or somebody who's interested in this topic is just to absorb all the ideas we share and apply what works best for you. So we'll be sharing lots of ideas today. So we've designed it to be not only informative, but interactive and fun. And for a first step, if you could click on the participant box for those who are in Zoom. And for those in Zoom, once you've clicked on the participant box, if you could click on the green check mark if you've been to one of these resume sessions before. We do these every Thursday. We've been doing them since last March. And if you've never been to one of these, click on the red X in the participant box. And if you're in Facebook Live, you can type in a comment. Let's say new or been here before. And wow, we've got a lot of new folks this time. That's great. What we do is we review some content every week, and we put a different spin on it every week. And then we have new content every week as well. So we try to appeal to both audiences, both returning people and those who are new. And then also for those who are in Zoom, if you can click on the chat function, and those who are on FaceTime Live, you can use the comments field. And to get us warmed up using interactivity, I have an opening discussion question. So I'd like for everyone to go into chat or comments and answer this question. Does your resume highlight key accomplishments? So in your resume, do you feel like it really shows your key accomplishments, or does it kind of show a list of the tasks, the things you did, as opposed to the impact or the results or the accomplishment you did? And somebody said, not yet. Thanks for being honest about that. And we'll share a trick with you a little bit later. It's called the So What game that'll help you go through your resume to make it more results oriented. And some people said both, and sometimes that's appropriate. There might be some things that you did on the job that were a task, but they're really important. And then sometimes when your task resulted in some sort of business impact, and if that's the case, that's what you really want to highlight. Okay, good. Somebody said they're transitioning from being more results oriented than task oriented. Okay, good. Good. So I've received one resume. Good.
I have the other one.
Okay, good. So I'm going to download that resume. Thank you for that. I'm going to pause just a quick second to download that one. And we should have time for that one, and we may have time for the second one as well. Good. And what I'll do is I'll share my background so you can hear, the comments and advice I make are based on my experiences and my perspective. And then I'll ask Susan to share her background as well. So I have 30 years of experience working as a hiring manager in an IT firm. I worked in a variety of different roles, started off as a system engineer, went into sales and marketing, and then education, HR, learning and development, sales, all different types of roles. And throughout all those roles, I served as a hiring manager, and I'd often mentor other hiring managers on interview processes. And then I took early retirement in 2012 because I felt a calling to get out in the world and help people find jobs, because I knew so many people had gotten laid off. And then I had wonderful opportunities to work as a recruiter, both in agency environments and corporate recruiting environments. So I've walked a mile in a recruiter's shoes, looking at hundreds, if not thousands of resumes and presenting them to hiring managers and getting their feedback about those resumes. And I've placed people in a variety of different roles. And like Jeff, I've served for the last 2 years as a panelist on the Dallas Pit Crew. That's practice interview team, where we're a volunteer organization where we help people practice their interview skills and provide coaching. And we'll share some information on how you can sign up for a mock interview through the Dallas Pit Crew. And then also I've gotten certified by the Professional Association of Resume Writers and Career Coaches. And the templates they taught me are very similar to the resume templates I developed when I was a recruiter and I was helping people. And that's basically the template I'll be working from today. I've got lots of resumes in my chat box, so I'm going to save those. Okay, good. So I've got 2, good. And we've got the Pit Crew information posted out in the chat box, so you can download that. And now I'd like to ask Susan if you could explain a little bit about your background.
Sure. Thank you, Carol. I'm an executive coach and I work with leaders in organizations. Many times those leaders are looking for promotions internally in their company. So I help them prep for those interviews as well. I've got a 15-year background in executive coaching. And prior to that, I was with Hewlett-Packard in sales positions, marketing, partner, and channel. So a lot of experience there, a global experience as well. In a nutshell, I help prepare leaders to get to the next level and add more value to their organizations. I also work with teams and help them become more collaborative. Thank you.
Great, great. Thank you for that. And then a fun fact for our audience, Susan was actually the sales rep from HP that would call on me when I started my career at EDS. And she sold me those little ink cartridge things or whatever those were way back in the early days when I was making graphs for executives. And then we lost track of each other. And then we met again at an awards dinner. A friend of ours was getting an award. And so it was nice to connect and then discover we do a lot of the same type of work together. So it's been fun to reconnect after all those years. So that's fun. And I mentioned that I'd worked as a recruiter in both agency and corporate environments. And most recently, I retired from Next Step Recruiting, but I keep close in contact with my friends at Next Step Recruiting. It's a Dallas firm, and most of their clients are in the Dallas area. However, now during the pandemic, a lot of companies are learning that people can work remotely. So I keep in touch with them every week, and these are the hot jobs that they're recruiting for as of this morning. And I highly encourage you, if you meet any or close to the requirements for any of these jobs, there's an accounting manager, HR business partner, staff accountant, a more of a recruiter job, HR analyst. If you meet the requirements, or if you just happen to be strong in HR or accounting, finance, and IT coding, because they also have an IT division, especially Java and C++ programmers and such. If you meet any of those requirements, please, please, please reach out to me on LinkedIn and send me your resume, and I'll get you connected with a recruiter who can give you feedback about your resume, feedback about the job market, and can get you presented to a hiring manager. And it's a great opportunity to practice your networking skills. And there's no charge to you to work with any of these recruiters. And I highly recommend that you at least have 1 or 2 recruiters that you're working with, because they can work for you and they can be your advocate to get you to the top of the list of those hiring managers and get called for an interview. So please reach out to me, especially if you're in accounting, finance, HR, and HR especially. Okay. And here's our agenda today. We will cover information about applicant tracking systems. Those are those systems when you're applying online for a job. And then I'll ask Susan to share her top resume tips. And we'll talk about the concept of a one-page executive bio. And then we'll go into the details of a traditional resume. And then we have 2 people in the audience who have submitted their resume. And what we'll do is we'll share those and we'll review them and talk about what we like about them and see if there's any areas for improvement. And everybody loves that part of the session. So thank you to those who have generously shared your resumes. And wow, we've got a great number of people. I'm looking over here at my other screen to see the participant box. Got a great group today. Give me a green check mark if you're from outside the Dallas-Fort Worth area in the participant box, or type a message in chat if you're from outside DFW, chat or comments. We're getting more and more people connecting in. Excellent. So I guess we'll go right to Susan's tips. Okay, we'll go right to your tips and then we'll talk about applicant tracking systems. So Susan, if you'd like to share your top resume tips.
Sure, happy to. And some of this might be redundant, but I guess I just want to add more emphasis.
No, that's good. That's good.
What I loved about what Carol said a minute ago about accomplishments, they need to pop out on the page. You know, your quantifiable results for the job are going to give that recruiter and reader confidence that you can nail it. So insert those quantifiable business results for each job. Number 2, cleanly separate the responsibilities from the accomplishments. What I mean is, don't use a lot of real estate on that 1-page or 2-page resume to go into all the job responsibilities you have. If your title should probably explain pretty much what you do, and they probably know what your title means. If you're an accounting manager, if you're a CFO, if you're a HR business partner, they pretty much know what your responsibilities are. So give more real estate to those accomplishments, but cleanly separate them. Nothing's worse than a jumble of responsibilities and accomplishments and then another responsibility. It just looks jumbly and confusing. It needs to look crisp. They need to pop out. Number 3, if the company name is not recognizable that you work for, insert a URL. However, I just heard Carol and Jeff say that URLs sometimes don't get uploaded. So I think if you're physically with someone, you know, maybe you can give them that copy with the URL, or your email.
The URL could be simply text. Just don't make it a hot link in your.
Thank you. Don't make it a hot link. Appreciate it. But that way they can look up the company or the organization you work for, and that might help them clarify, oh, he's in the XYZ business. I got it. Another thing to do is to highlight your title if your title has more credence than the company name. If the company is Joe's Tire Shop, you may not have heard of that company, but your title, operations manager or a store manager, might mean more. So make that bigger. You might play with that, make that word more highlighted, a little bigger font. Number 4, seek out an expert and pay for help in getting your resume tuned. It's important to get expertise, get someone who specializes in this to take a look at your resume. It's worth every penny. Um, number 5, and this is sort of a bugaboo, get a current email address. Hotmail, Yahoo can project that you are not as current, and it might make you look older than you want to look. You don't want to be excluded from interviewing just because you've got an old email address. And number 6, take courses which keep you current and that you can list on LinkedIn. Coursera, there's a ton of courses. Not all cost money, some are free. Stay current. It'll help you distinguish yourself and differentiate yourself. And that's it.
Great. Yeah, thank you, Susan, for highlighting these. Yeah, so this is great content. And before we, I guess maybe I skipped the ATS stuff. Let me think a minute. Well, I am going to somehow, I think I hid my slides about ATS systems. I'm going to say a few words about these online systems just because it is so important. When you are applying online and you're uploading your resume, you want it to be free from any special formatting or even hot links in it or underlines or boxes, because that can throw off the reading or the parsing of the data. So you do have to be careful about that. And you want to use the default bullet points in your resume. And then also, even more importantly, when you're applying online, the chances, if you apply online for a job and sit back and wait, the chances of you getting called for an interview are only 2%. I found that in reality as a recruiter, because we get hundreds of people applying for jobs and I'd only be able to look at the top few on the list and maybe just call a few of those. So it's about 2%. So the way to increase your chances of getting called for an interview is, once you apply online, then reach out to a person at that company, either somebody you know through, look on your LinkedIn connections, send them a copy of your resume, tell them you meet the requirements of the job, and ask them to forward or send a note with your resume attached to the recruiting manager or the recruiter that posted the job that you meet the requirements. And if you don't have a friend at the company or a connection, then reach out to the recruiter who posted the job if you can find their name. Sometimes that's posted on LinkedIn, sometimes, most often not. And if not, search a little bit at that company and find the name of a recruiting manager. Go up a level and reach out to them and let them know you applied for that job, give them the requisition number, and let them know you met the requirements for the job. Those are the golden words for recruiters, and that will increase your chances. And thank you to the audience. You're starting to write in comments. And I meant to say, you can write in comments and questions. And somebody asked a question. This one, I'll ask Susan. What's an example of a current email address as opposed to Yahoo, Hotmail?
It could be, you might have your own domain. A lot of people right now, when they're in transition, become consultants, or they have sort of a temporary job, and you have your own URL, use that one, or use Gmail. It just shows that you don't have an email from 25 years ago. I guess it doesn't really matter what it is, just don't use Yahoo or Hotmail, because it just makes you look older or like you aren't up on technology.
Yeah.
And it's not my opinion. It's not my opinion. It's just what some people have told me.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear that too. And my dad's, he was in his 90s, AOL, yes. And AOL. Mine's a little old, but I have a Yahoo one, and I'm not looking for a job. And somebody asked about prices for resume writing. I'll ask Susan first what price ranges you have seen, and I'll share some insights as well.
I'm just not sure about that.
That's fine. Yeah, I'll share what I've.
Yeah, okay. Carol, I think that's better if you answer.
Yes, some people said they've seen everything from 2,000 to 200 to 5,000. That's true. There are some people out there charging a lot of money. And when I got certified by the Professional Association of Resume Writers, they recommended to coaches to charge between 75 and 150 an hour per work. So it can go into the hundreds. I'll say I've chosen a manageable rate. I'll go ahead and share it. And it's negotiable depending on people's situations. I charge $50 an hour. And so often I can just spend a session with somebody and go through their resume with them, you know, one-on-one in detail, and even make marks on it and send it to them, and they make the final version in 1 hour. So we've done that, or sometimes maybe 2 hours, where I'll have one session, and then we'll compare it to a job description and really get it targeted with the language. So that might take 2-hour sessions. So there are a lot of people out there charging a lot of money. As a career coach, I've chosen to keep my fees kind of within reach. Okay, so
And you're getting free training right here. You're getting some of Carol's expertise right here.
yeah, this is my volunteer time, and thank you for providing this opportunity, Jeff. Okay. ATS don't care about accomplishments. Yeah, ATSs don't care about accomplishments, but they do care about those key words. So thank you for bringing that up. Yes, and we will show you how to match a resume to those keywords. Seems to be a conflict. What you could do is write about your accomplishment, but using those keywords. So takes a little bit of skill to write that. So it's not really a conflict. It just takes some practice to do that. Okay, current email, quantifiable. Yeah, somebody asked about quantifiable results. If you achieve 120% quota, yes, that's a great example of something quantifiable. Now, if you're working HR or other areas, or even project management, sometimes it's not quantifiable, and it might be more qualitative, like ran 100 projects, always under budget or on time or whatever. Maybe not quantifiable, but you achieved a result. And somebody said, okay, sign me up. Okay, reach out to me on LinkedIn if you'd like some help. That's great. Thank you for that. And I'll make a note of your name as well. Okay. And I don't advertise my services because I get so many referrals from people I work with. So I only take people that come to the webinars and referrals. Okay, good. Okay. Great questions from the audience. Now I'll spend a moment here on the concept of a one-page executive bio. If you could give me a green check mark or say yes in chat or comments, if you have a one-page bio type of document that you use more for networking or for informational interviews, give me a green check mark in the participant box or type yes in chat if you've ever created a one-page executive bio. And a lot of people know, yeah. And this is a good concept. And Jeff had told me about this book by Mina Brown called Be Sharp, and it's available for free on Amazon Prime Kindle online. A whole chapter about the concept of executive bios, and she shares some examples in there. And this is a different type of document. You can see this example. It really doesn't look like a resume. So it doesn't scream, I'm looking for a job. Do you have a job for me? It's something you can use when you're just networking with people or just having an informational discussion with somebody. And here's kind of a side-by-side comparison of what a resume is for versus a bio. A resume really signals you're looking for a job, but a bio can be used in many situations when you're networking. You're at Starbucks, and this was a true story. I was coaching somebody, and he came to one of my sessions and said, Carol, I'm so happy. I got a lead on a job. And I said, where'd you get the lead? Because I was at Starbucks. And somebody at the next table asked me what I was working on. He said he was applying for a job as a recruiter. He said, I know somebody who's hiring. So you never know where you might talk to somebody who might know of somebody who's hiring, and you can give them your bio or send it to them. Anyway, and a resume focuses on your work history details and credentials, and a bio kind of summarizes your major overall career accomplishments. Resumes are for job search, bios multi-purpose, resumes are for anyone looking for a job. Bios have tended to be for more senior level people, but I'm starting to see more and more of my clients of all levels using these documents. And I had a client, I'd done some research to look for a nice template. And I was having a hard time finding one that was nice and easy to update. And then a client of mine said he was having good response to his one-page executive bio. So he shared the format with me. And so I just plugged some of my information into it. And it's just real simple to update. It's in Microsoft Word, and we've shared it in chat. You're welcome to leverage this if you'd like. And so basically on a bio, you'd have your picture. On a resume, you do not want to put your picture for all sorts of employment law reasons. But on an executive bio, it's kind of nice, like a LinkedIn profile. Have your picture, some keywords that match keywords required in a job description, your background, just a very short paragraph, and then just a listing of your job history, companies with a few dates, if you wish, and degrees, certifications, contact information, and highlights of key achievements. And this is where you want to use quantifiable numbers if you can. And so it's kind of a fun option to have. And more of my clients are doing these, and they're using them for networking. And when I help my clients, I had a IT sales guy that asked me if I could help him out. And so I sent his executive bio to 10 of my contacts, and then 4 of them called the guy and said, yeah, let's talk. Okay. So now I'll go through some characteristics of a fellow Mustang. Yeah, go SMU. That's cool. Characteristics of good resumes. Your goal for your resume is to make it easy for those ATS systems and also for humans, the recruiters and the hiring managers out there, to see very quickly you're a great match for the job. So you want the formatting to be very clean with lots of white space. And we'll be sharing this format with you and talking through it that we've talked about. Overall length in a resume, in chat, go ahead and type in a number. How long is your resume? In chat or comments? How long is your resume? How many pages? Go ahead and type in some numbers. 2 pages, 2 pages, 1, 2, 2, 2. Okay, good. Mostly for people with significant professional experience, 2 pages is the sweet spot. When I talk to recruiters and hiring managers and I ask them for their, just anecdotally, everybody says 2 pages. Now, in some situations, a longer resume is fine, like in government jobs, higher education, very technical jobs where you need a lot of certifications or training. That's fine. So, and it's okay. And now in the days of online resumes, going on to a 3rd page is okay. Yeah, good. Okay. Now, doing a 4th page, I would encourage you to get it down to 2 pages or expand it a little bit to make it a full 3 page. So, okay. Now, number of years. I think we have a chat question for this, but I'll also put these letters up on the screen. So I'd like for people to share with me, how much experience do you show on your resume? You can either answer this polling question in Zoom or type in the letter in chat or comments. Do you show all of your experience on your resume? And this is kind of based on personal preference. Or B, do you show the most recent 10 to 15 years? And then chop it off. Or C, do you show you highlight your most recent 10 to 15 years, but then have a section that says previous relevant experience or something like that, and then list company names and job titles you may have had earlier in your career. I'll tell you a couple of personal stories. Number one, when I was looking for a job at the age of 59, I used option A, but I was networking with people that knew me. They knew I'd worked at EDS a long time and it was fine. I don't know if I'd recommend that for everyone. It really did show how long I'd been in the job market, 38 years at the time. So, or been in the job industry or whatever. And then item B. As a recruiter, I saw a lot of these kind of resumes that only showed 10 to 15 years and then they looked to me like they were chopped off. Like it didn't show a full career. And these would cause confusions often during interviews. When I was doing a screening interview and I'd ask them, tell me about a time you worked on or led a challenging project. And they might refer to something at Hewlett Packard or whatever, and I'd look on their resume and I didn't see it. It would cause confusion. And they'd say, oh, I didn't include that. That was so long ago. It just didn't tell the full story. So as a recruiter, I kind of liked option C, and I found hiring managers liked it as well because they felt like it showed the full story of somebody's
This topic came up yesterday in the interviewing class we had about star stories. Somebody put in the chat, can I talk about a star story that's not on my resume? And so that's when I sort of said, we talk about every Thursday that you've got to have that section on your resume called prior relevant experience, because if you want to talk about something that you've done, you've got to make sure it's on your resume, at least the company name.
Yes. Yeah. Otherwise it really causes confusion. And I've experienced it. I'm like, okay, I'm not seeing this here. What is going on? And what else is hidden? It just makes you feel like things are hidden. And somebody said 2 pages gets tough. And especially for experienced. Yes. And you want to focus your bullet points on what is meaningful to the hiring manager. And so there's probably a lot of bullets you can take off. If they're not meaningful to the job that you're applying for, you can probably delete them. You probably have a lot of bullets, maybe some bullets that are 2 or 3 lines long, explaining these wonderful stories, but the hiring manager won't care.
And under prior relevant experience, you don't have to list any bullet points. You just want to list the companies just so that you can talk about them if need be, or if they come up.
Yeah. So, so that's a good point. And if you ever want to share your resume during the session, we can give you feedback about that, or you're always welcome to reach out to a career coach or to me, and we can help you with that. Then I'd like to make a quick note on how to fill a gap, and this kind of echoes something Susan mentioned about doing training, and especially if you have downtime, and how to show it on your resume. And I'm getting this question from a lot of people, especially right now, people that may have gotten laid off back in 2019, and then COVID hit, and so now they have a big gap on their resume since they're working. And I often ask people, okay, what have you been doing besides your job search? People say nothing. I say, well, you got to get out there and do something so that you can show something on your resume. And you can also use this to fill in gaps between jobs. So if you aren't doing anything, any sort of community leadership, get out there, volunteer, use your skills, do some consulting work, even if it's pro bono, even if it's helping out your local church or something. Do some consulting work, even if it's helping in their office. And then do some continuing education, especially as it relates to jobs that you're applying for. And then add a few bullets. I'll show you an example. If I were to show an example of what I've been doing over the last couple of years, and if I haven't, as I've been coaching and haven't worked for a company, I would put community leadership and consulting. I would say I serve as a panelist for the Dallas Pit Crew to help job seekers with their interview skills. And I provide consulting services to a local nonprofit on how to prepare and conduct job interviews. And that's absolutely true. It happens to be for a church, and it was pro bono, but they called me in as a consultant. And so those are some examples of things you can put on your resume to fill a gap. Okay. Oh, and somebody asked about font. Yes. I was talking with a career coach last week who recommended Arial, about size 10 or 11, and he's never seen any issues with applicant tracking systems. And also I've seen lots of people recommend Calibri 11, and some people like, somebody said that's a sans serif, so it doesn't have the serif. Some people like Times New Roman, that has a little the squiggly serifs on it. So, but Arial and Calibri tend to be the most popular. And they, from what I've heard, they work really well with applicant tracking system. But each system is different, and they do have their different tweaks. Okay, so we're going to walk through some of the key components of a resume. There might be other components like certifications, publications, other things. And somebody asked if size 10 font is acceptable. Kind of depends. With Arial, it is. With Calibri, I think it makes it too small. So it kind of depends a little bit. So Thanks for asking that. And it's a little small for Times New Roman. Good. So these are the key components we're going to walk through. The first component is heading. So you have your name front and center, 4 types of contact information, including your LinkedIn URL. And you can type it in as text, not make it a hot link, especially for the version that you're uploading. And do not include your physical street address. You do not need to include that. And then my favorite part of a resume, and as a recruiter, this is the part I always looked at, scanned really quickly, the summary section. And this is a summary of who you are as a professional. It's not your objective. I'm seeking an opportunity where I can grow my skills with a thriving company. No, this is where you describe who you are and leveraging some of the keywords that you see in job descriptions. And then it's good to have some bullet points spaced out so it's easy to read with your areas of expertise, because you want a recruiter to look, if they're recruiting for a business analyst, you know, that you want them to see very quickly, oh, you can document business requirements. They usually read the first line and that's about it. And then they scan these bullet points. Okay, gathering requirements, oh good. Agile, good. Relationship management, great. Oh, user interface, that's even better. You know, they just scan. So you want to make sure that you put those words so your skills jump out to a recruiter. And then you can summarize your key accomplishments at the top of your resume for your career. And I see a lot of salespeople and business development people, especially that do have to meet targets, summarize those at the top of their resume. And that's very helpful for these types of roles and even with recruiting types of roles. And then you get into professional experience and you want your bullet points to focus on accomplishments where you can, and you want to make sure your verbs are parallel. For jobs in the past, make sure they're all in the past tense. You wouldn't believe how many resumes I see where I see a mixture of verb tenses, and I see typos, and I see spacing issues. Do not have any of those issues. I would say at least 90% of resumes I look at have some sort of spacing or typo issue or verb issue with them. And it's recommended to include a 1-line description of the company, especially if it's a little known company. And as Susan mentioned, you may want to include the URL. Last week we had somebody with a company name and I thought it was spelled wrong, but it was a word that was in Spanish and it was dollar. It was spelled correctly. And so we thought, okay, the best way to show that it's not a typo is add the URL. And so I thought that was a good way of solving that issue. So that's a good thing to do. And also in your professional experience, for any job, 5 to 8 bullets max. You don't want to have 10 or 15 bullets because a recruiter is not going to read all those bullets. And there's even something called the 3-word rule that recruiters tend to scan and read the first 3 words in your bullet point. And maybe 3 to 5 words, and that's about it. So you want those first verbs to really capture the attention of the recruiter. And they may only read the bullet points in your most recent job or 2. And then somebody asked if it's okay to put your job title on top. I'm going to get to that question in a moment. About whether to put your job title or the company name on top. It kind of depends, and I'll show you a scenario where it wouldn't work, but it kind of depends on your situation and what you want to highlight. So this slide is the so what game. If you've heard me do the so what game, type yes in the chat box or give me a green check mark in participant. And this is how you can get your resume to focus more on results. And what I'll do is walk through a real example when I was helping a marketing person with their resume. They had a bullet that said they guided the next phase of brand evolution for a multimedia artist. I thought, yeah, that sounds kind of cool, but so what? So what was the outcome? What was the result? What was the accomplishment? What was the impact to the business? And so what's kind of a funny way of asking that. And she had an answer to that question. I said, when I asked, so what was the result? She said, well, and actually this increased the business opportunities, which led to 10 new commissions for her client who was an artist. And so she enhanced her text to focus on the results and also the keywords in the job description. So that addresses somebody's comment earlier on. So she rewrote this to use words that reflect her skills, but also words that the job description was looking for. In their job description, they didn't mention film production or publishing. They were looking for social media and PR, but she also increased the emphasis on the verbs and the emphasis on results by changing this to say increased business opportunities, including 10 new commissions for my client based on developing that social media strategy and PR strategy. So she kind of flipped the sentence around and really focused on the result. So that's an example of how you can play the so what game. And I do that a lot with clients. We'll go through their bullet points. Yeah, and somebody said they'd seen me do this just last week. So here is an example of when you've had multiple roles at a company. And so in this situation, it works best to list the company name first. Now, you wouldn't want to mix it around on your resume and do some way, some another way. So if you do have this situation, you probably want to do your resume this way. If you don't have multiple roles in any of your jobs, you could switch it around and do like Susan said and kind of highlight your titles, especially if the company names aren't very well known. But if you had multiple roles within a company, we highly recommend you structure it this way, where you show the full time you're at the company and then the dates for the jobs in parentheses, and not write justified, but right up against those job titles. Otherwise, when a recruiter is scanning your resume, and if you have these job dates for your jobs, right, justified, it looks like you're a job hopper. And a lot of resumes throw those kind of resumes aside. And so this one shows a better story, longevity. Sometimes it might show how long you were at a place. You know, in some cases they like that. They see you've been promoted. So, so that's something to think about and something for you to apply based on your situation. And then if you've had a company that has changed names, give me a green check mark or type yes in chat or comments if you've worked for a company that has either merged or been acquired or changed names. Yeah, I see some check marks happening. And that happened to me for sure. My resume, and when I retired from Hewlett Packard Enterprise Services in 2012, I could have given the current name of the company, and that's what I did. I said HP Enterprise Services or Hewlett Packard Enterprise Services, formerly EDS. Or I could have said EDS, acquired by Hewlett Packard. I could have done that. So those are a couple of examples of how you can handle that situation. Somebody said they've been acquired 2 times, 5 times, 2 different jobs. Wow. Yeah, it's happening more and more. So there's, several different ways you can do that depending on, I guess, what name is most recognizable to the people you're applying to. And then be sure to include your education and software skills, especially software that is being requested on the job descriptions. If you're looking for Excel, go ahead and list it. You'll get more points that way. If you're looking for things like Visual Studio or Adobe or whatever, and you have those experiences, list those. And we saw a good example a few weeks ago with somebody who didn't have a degree, but under education, they still listed the school, city, state, and their area of concentration. And then they showed how many credit hours they had. And I thought that was a good way of saying that, because you don't want to say bachelor's if you don't have a bachelor's degree. Okay. Show this slide real quickly, and then we'll move to our examples. And this is an example of how to align your job or your resume to a job description and to the keywords in a job description. And this will give you more points in the ATS system, put you at the top of the stack. And then when a recruiter is scanning your resume, and they typically only spend about 7.4 seconds, so they're just scanning for keywords, you want to make sure they pop. So take a few moments and look at the job description, highlight some of the key skills they're looking for, and make sure they're front and center. If you're a business analyst and you're applying for a job that says business analyst, put that title front and center. If, you know, one of the first things they're looking for is somebody who can document business requirements, put that on the very first line. Look for other key skills. Look up for under requirements, or here's what you bring to the job, or qualifications. Make sure that if you've got those experiences, those software packages, list them. Any key skills like methodologies, Agile, Scrum, make sure those are there. Flow charts, so you can see you need to do this. And it's worth taking the time to do this, because you may study the job description and then determine, whoa, maybe I'm not a great match for this one. Let me move on. And then you haven't wasted your time, you know, applying for a job that you may not get called for. So hopefully that's helpful. That's one of my favorite slides. I like putting that together. And then somebody asked a really good question for formatting that the areas of expertise. Should we use a table? No, especially for the version you're uploading into the applicant tracking system, because that could throw some special characters and throw off the ATS system. So I just use tab marks to tab these. Okay. All right. And then somebody's asking what name of the consulting company for filling the gap. It's a virtual company, company's websites required a company name, like on LinkedIn. Oh, okay. Company. Oh, on LinkedIn, when I had a little bit of a gap before I really became a career coach, I think I just wrote down the Dallas Pit Crew. I think if you look at my LinkedIn, it's not an official name of a company. And I served as a coach for a little while, just for a couple months, until I got certified and really started my career coaching. And I don't really have a name for my company. So you could look at my LinkedIn maybe for some ideas there. Okay. Good tool. Oh, and Jeff, I skipped my slide with job scan. Oh, okay. And somebody's asking if there's a good tool. So now's a great time to do your giveaway.
All right. So, well, I have gotten hold of some free seats to jobscan.co. We didn't talk about it earlier, but this is a great way to compare your resume against a job description. And it'll tell you how close you compete or how close you match. You can go to jobscan.co, not .com, .co, and I think you get 5 free ones per month or something like that. Well, I have a license. We're going to give away 2 licenses today for anybody who'd like to. You get 1 month of service. So this will be for February 1 through February 28th. Sorry, you got the shortest month. You're going to win the shortest month to use it. Unlimited searches during that period. And then as of March 1, it'll change again. So if you're interested in winning, you need to pick a number between 1 and 100. And we will pick the 2 closest numbers to 1 and 100. If you will put it in the number sitting there behind Carol's head right now. So everybody, if you will enter a number, if you're interested. And after we review the first resume, we will pick our winner.
Great. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. And thank you for the person that asked that question. Good. So I'm going to go ahead and share a resume. We'll probably just have time for the first one. It'll take me just a second to pull this up. And then once we've shared this resume, we will disclose our number. So for those that are on Facebook Live, you can type in a number on comments, and those in Zoom, you can do it in chat. And then I've got a number written down here. We'll disclose that after we show this resume. And we'll pick the 2 closest. And we'll have a couple winners. Okay, so thank you for sharing your resume here. And can you see it okay, Jeff? Can you see the resume?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, good. Okay, great. And what I'm going to do,
oops.
Again, whenever I click, we'll do it again. Sometimes Zoom kicks me out. Okay, there we go. Hopefully you can see it again. Okay, and I'm going to scroll down this resume. I'd like for everyone to look at it And if you have any comments, go ahead, things you like about the resume, type them into the chat or comments field. And if you see any suggestions, go ahead and type those into the comments. And so I can see there's an opening section. It says consultant, selected highlights. Font size is 10, Calibri 10. A little small, I think I would do 11. And core competencies, professional experience. Just kind of looking for where those dates are. I like to see the dates right, justified for the company. Mary Kay, great place to work. Okay, great. Heritage, okay. Looks like a couple different roles at this company. I put those dates for those roles next to those job titles. That shows good progression and education, additional credentials. Whoa, honors and development, organizations, volunteers. That's kind of a neat way of showing that. Now this is a table. I don't know if an ATS system would be able to read that, but because of the extra lines and everything. But that's a creative way of showing additional credentials. That's kind of neat. All right, and somebody said to shorten the LinkedIn address. That's a great suggestion. You could do that by going to LinkedIn, go to your profile on LinkedIn, and the upper right-hand side of your screen, there's a button that says edit URL. You can edit it and take out all those extra numbers. And then once you've done that on LinkedIn, you can just refer to it on your resume and don't make it a hot link for the ATS version of your resume.
And you don't need the phone icon or the little envelope icon. If somebody can't figure out that's a phone number, I don't know if you really want them to call you.
And also it'll throw off an ATS system. That'll send the system into a frenzy and it won't be able to read the data, because you want the ATS system to be able to read all of your information in your resume, because it's parsing the data and putting it in their database, and any little special symbol will throw it off. This is a beautiful version if you're handing a resume to somebody or sending a PDF to the recruiter to give to the hiring manager, you know, once you're preparing for an interview. But an ATS system, yeah. And somebody said all one color. Yeah, I agree with that. Solid lines, yeah, remove those for an ATS version. And bullet points need to be the default bullet point again for the ATS version. Clickable contact info on one line, and you don't want it clickable on your ATS version. Okay. It says, oh, #1 in sales. It should be £1 in sales. Should be #1. Okay, number 1. Yeah, ATS doesn't accept lines. What lines do sometimes is it conflicts with the data, like it can't read certain letters. So yeah, lines and symbols, yes. Move the graphic, phone, yes, okay. Larger margins, yes. Yeah, top or first instead of pound, okay.
And I think a lot of these bullet points, you need to ask the so what game. You know,
yes.
Partnered with in the industry and state agencies to coordinate optimal service delivery. So what? What was the result?
Right.
Results sell. When you're showing this to somebody wants, if they know that you can show some results, that will get you further along.
Yes. And then somebody made a comment, the consultant title is not very specific. And this thing you would want to modify every time you're applying for a job if you're looking. And so as a recruiter, I look at this and I go, I can't tell what type of person you are, what kind of skills you're doing. And so if you're applying for a business development role, you'd want to put business development executive or whatever that is, so that the recruiter can see, yeah, this is the kind of person we're looking for. So
what are your thoughts on the uppercase for the smaller letters? So her titles are all uppercase letters, you know, but they're just the smaller uppercase.
The title.
So go up high, professional experience, core competencies, selected highlights.
For the headings.
Capital letters, but they're the small capitals. What are your thoughts? I'm okay with it. But
I'm okay for headings, yes. Where I don't recommend it would be if you put all this in all caps. That becomes hard to read. But for headings, it's okay. It's okay. I think an ATS would be able to read it okay. And New Century Hospice, I think that's underlined or something. I would take off that underline, yes. And I'd put your dates, right, justified the dates you're with the company. And the Mary Kay, it overlaps with some of your other jobs. Only if it's applicable to the work you're doing. Because I'd worry as a hiring manager, ooh, are you too busy with that to do my job? But if you're going into sales, yeah, maybe. Then for this one, I put the date out to the right and then the dates for your titles next to those jobs. Good. And I think we're out of time on this. And I apologize for the second person. We didn't get to your resume today. You're welcome to join us first thing next time and we can cover it. Or if you have an urgent question, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. And
what's our lucky number?
Yes, the lucky number. And you even said the lucky number when you were talking about your stuff in the 28th of February. So 28 was the number I'd written down.
All right, let me look here to see who we've got close. Do we have any 28? I see a 33.
Anybody next? Let's see, 33.
33.
There's a 30.
Facebook, so maybe
there's
30.
A 19, 39. Wait, no, yeah, 39 and then 19, 24. There's a 24, 23 and 24.
Okay, so 23 and 24. If you will do me a favor, please send me an email. I need your name and email address so we can get you set up. Send it to webmaster@careerdfw.org, and that will we will get you signed up here for it. So you've got to send me a note to do it, and let me know that you were a winner. 23 and 24, and I'll go back. I saved this chat, so I'll know who put them in. All right.
And I'd like to thank Susan real quickly. Thank you, Susan, for joining us. And I know you have a client meeting at the top of the hour as well. So thank you so much for sharing your expertise.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, guys.
If you want to connect with Carol, here's her what her LinkedIn profile looks like. If you do send Carol or Susan or myself a LinkedIn request, please send a personal note. Let us know. Just don't click on connect. Be sure to send us a note so that we know that you saw us today at this session. Let's see here. For those on Facebook, if you'd like to get the sample cover letter, the sample T cover letter, the bios, you can send the sample bio that we put up. You can send me an email at webmaster@careerdfw.org, and I will get that out to you this afternoon, or it'll probably be this weekend when I get those reply back to you this weekend. So if you want to get those, you may do that if you didn't get them through the chat here. Tomorrow, I talked about the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group tomorrow at 9:30. Our speakers are going to talk about how to be a better brand, how to brand yourself. And we're going to go through, there's some worksheets that I've already put out to a lot of the groups that you can please download, and I'll have it available tomorrow morning in the chat for anybody who's brand new. On Tuesday, next Tuesday, our LinkedIn seminar we do every Tuesday. We have 4 different speakers. This Tuesday, our speaker is Kurt Vondermatter. He's a retained executive recruiter. He's going to talk about LinkedIn from a recruiter's eye, meaning that you're going to see LinkedIn from the backside of LinkedIn, how a recruiter uses LinkedIn, and see how he searches for people. So please join us next Tuesday at 1 o'clock. It's a fascinating presentation. On Wednesday, we'll be doing session number 4, how to do video interviewing. It's a deep dive into video interviewing. We do interviewing topics every Wednesday at 1 o'clock. If you've missed lessons 1, 2, and 3, they are on the Career USA YouTube channel, where you can go back and watch those and catch up at your convenience. This session will be recorded. It is on the Career FW Facebook page and on the Career USA YouTube channel. Please follow us on Facebook. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. That would be appreciated. Here's what the YouTube channel looks like. If you don't see playlist, click where the green arrow is, click on playlist, and then don't click on the video, but click down to the very bottom. You see that red arrow, it says view full playlist. And what will happen is up will come a list of all the different topics that we've talked about each week. and you can go through and you can watch any one of those at your convenience, as long as any of the other things from the interviewing or LinkedIn presentations we've done. If you haven't joined our Career DFW or Career USA LinkedIn groups, please do that. If you join the Career DFW LinkedIn group, we have over 12,800 members, so you're going to have a bunch of new best friends. So please, join those if you'd like. You're welcome to join both. You don't have to be in the DFW area to join the DFW LinkedIn group. Please know, Career DFW, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We have no full or part-time employees. This is what Carol does. She volunteers to give back to the community. This is what I've been doing for the last 12, 13 years to give back to the community. I don't get paid to do this either. I'm a volunteer. I'm just trying to help people. Career DFW survives on donations. It helps pay for Zoom. It helps pay for the web names. It helps pay for the website being hosted. So please consider making a donation when you land your next opportunity. It would be greatly appreciated. So thank you very much for joining us today. Have a great rest of the week. Carol, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. See you again. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you,
guys.
Jeff. Bye.